Yes, good afternoon. I learned 25 years ago that there are two ways that you ensure that you have a product that is likely to last very long. You're either in the food business, like the previous speaker, or you're in the defense business. And just look at your children; they either eat or fight. So I'm on the fight side. So very different approach compared to other people here. The company is actually a defense company, and I'll just tell you what we do. We provide basically soldier solutions. We are a very technically advanced company, and we basically supply what the soldier, at the front end, needs to sort of be able to, win and survive. So on one side we have that you have here. All the protection aspects of things, ballistic shields, helmets, soft armor, hard armor plates, sort of protecting against bullets to a large extent. For that, we have our own technology that I will, describe. The other thing that we do in that area here is drones. Drones is, as you know, a very fast-growing business, very much used in defense. We've supplied one of the largest drone contract to defense recently, and we're still supplying that. And we have a number of different products that two of them are being represented here. But we also do those we import. But what we do is actually process the video that is coming from those into things that are actionable intelligence. We call it things that the soldier can use, in real time on the field. We have a few other products, typically in the explosive and ordnance disposal arena, things that allows you to demine a particular thing. So as you can see, technology as well as protection of the soldier. How is the share going? Well, we've just had a very substantial re-rating of the share. Today around the 88.5. I think you've been a bit optimistic. It varies around the 90 cents, but remember that we were at 45 cents a month ago. So doubling in a month, that's not too bad. So we raised some capital in August, and since then the price has basically doubled. Re-rating that we really have been waiting for a long time. When you're managing a company like this, you sort of do some very good things. You have good growth, it all happening, and then the price doesn't follow. So it now is at a price where before I was scared to death to having a takeover bid. I mean, it's very dangerous to be completely underrated. Now we have a market cap of about 47, 48 million, which is pretty decent for that sort of thing. We are cash positive. We have cash in the bank following the capital raise that we've done, but we're not burning cash. We are profitable, and we are growing very fast, as you'll see in a minute. About 1,100 shareholders, and you can see that the share price has gone up, very dramatically. The liquidity has gone up also very dramatically in the past few months. So you can see the growth that we've had in the past 3 years has been pretty dramatic. $9 million turnover in FY17, 17 million in FY18, and we did last year 37.9. Basically doubling every year. I'm not telling you that it's going to continue, but it's certainly looking, pretty good. EBITDA is still a bit, it's positive, as you can see, so we don't burn any money. But on the other side, it's, we have a plan to sort of improve the EBITDA as we go, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So we are well funded. We are growing very fast. We have had a re-rating in this record revenue, underpinned by the sales that we've had in the UAV side of things. So what has happened? What has triggered this re-rating? Well, we've just acquired a company in the US called HighCom, which is really very important. HighCom is actually a company making about $10 million revenue, 1.4 million EBITDA. They are in the armor business, so that's really very much synergistic with us. The technology we have is a process, so that's a way to sort of process armor products like plates or helmets. That is a good development, basically, but we are lacking a way to sort of access the market against that. So this company is actually manufacturing themselves, so that's a good outcome, because at the end of the day, if you want to sell to the military in the US, you need to produce locally. So these guys can do it. We just give them the manufacturing, the technology that is necessary for this. But they have a very good distribution network. So in the US, which is the largest Western market in the world in terms of defense and these particular products, they have access to the law enforcement in particular. You have 18,000 law enforcement agencies in the US, 18,000 clients, and it's not individual constables, it's the actual number of agencies that are buying. So you need a very, very sophisticated network to be able to sort of address a market like this, and these guys have got it. The quality of our product, which can be up to 30% lighter than the competition, gives us access to the military market, which is, again, much bigger. But we have, now a partner in there. So that acquisition is transformational. The deal was actually closed on the 30th of September, just coming back from the US yesterday, actually. And, it's looking very, very, very good to us. That's a very strong rationale, as I just described. It's an accretive transaction. That means we paid less, and we basically have a better price earning due to that. We bought it for 2.6 times the EV on EBITDA, and they basically gave us access to the fastest growing market in the world. So it's a very, very, very good thing. So our strategy is very clear. We're commercializing our world-class soldier solution in key target markets. In terms of armor, it's clearly focused on the US and Europe, which are much bigger than Australia. So we'll do a bit in Australia, but at the end of the day, it's the global market in the US that is of great interest, and Europe as well. We focus on high-value soldier solutions. Drones and things like this are, very high value. We have a lot of contracts that are, very, very good and high technology. But we also have a very significant experience and expertise. It's very important when you grow a company at that sort of speed to have the right team. And unless you have that, you really can't deliver. So we have changed quite a few people, in particular in the development side. We have a team of engineers, software engineers, as well as hardware and system engineers that are developing these products, and really have a very, very strong team to be able to address the markets that we're talking about. So it's very good to have a new process or a new product. Fantastic. That only gives you one aspect of what needs to be for you to be successful. It's typically the R&D. And possibly the market-leading technology. But you need a number of other things in addition to that. You need manufacturing capability. So in that sense, we are setting up a factory in Adelaide, which is going to be inaugurated probably around Christmas. You need major customers. So we already are tendering into Europe with partners there, and certainly using HighCom as an outlet to the US is actually very important. They provide the distribution network that is shown here, and the product validation is an activity that we do at the present time. We actually develop different products from the process that we are putting together. So what are we doing in that sense? Well, the XTclave is a patented technology. So it's something that we have very high level of protection. Patent are one, but know-how is the other side. And it actually helps you to sort of cure and consolidate composites. In that particular case, this armor we're talking about. It's a very, very high pressure system, which is what you need, but it's also isostatic. That means you can press all area of the helmet, for instance, at the same pressure. If you have an actual press, of course, you'll press only at the top. Here we press, on the complete, area of the helmet. What does that give you? Up to 30% lighter product. On the helmet side, it actually protects you against AK-47 bullets, which normal helmets don't protect you against. So we are the only one that is basically doing it in a single piece. And we look at platform armor as well. So we have very, very good differentiation and much better technology than what exists at the present time. Oh, that's the wrong button. So how is that going? So integrating the HiCom business started 2 weeks ago when we closed the deal. We are commencing manufacturing, as I said, in Adelaide in December. We'll probably do some more manufacturing in the US probably 6 to 8 months from now when we send them a machine to do it. We'll start leveraging the US export, the US to sort of sell the products. The beauty of selling to the police forces is that it's nearly a next stock sort of a process. That means that when we're ready to sort of start delivering products, we can ship them to the US and they're going to be sold within a few weeks. When you work with the military, typically it takes months, if not years, before you can actually sort of get, actual return on your investment. Here we've got very, very short return coming back very, very quickly because we have the network to sort of sell it to a very, very large potential customer in the US. We'll continue then having some domestic orders here in Australia, and we target large global orders further on, mainly the military market in the US, but also the military market in Europe. So that's it for the armor side. For the side of the drones, our approach is actually very much of a value-added solution. So we typically sell existing hardware, typically what you have in a drone. We don't make the drones ourselves, but we add things that make the product much easier to use and much more what we call actionable intelligence. What we want is not a platform that flies. What we want is data that helps the warfighter to sort of do its business. So going on to this, what does it do? Well, we sell an application that typically gives you a real-time, accurate georeference 3D mapping. You may say, well, it's already available, in normal drones. You have a package, that is provided with it. The difference is that it's not real time. Most of these things, would have to sort of work for several hours before it gives you anything. And most of the time, it's not georeferenced. So georeferencing is really very important because if you don't know what you're looking at and where it is precisely, there's not much you can do about it. So with the fact that it's georeferenced, you can superimpose the new picture that you've done, near real time, with an old picture that is probably an hour late, taken an hour before, or 2 hours before, or a day before, and like this, you can see the difference in the activity that has happened on your target. So if suddenly you find that you have, instead of 2 armored vehicles that you've seen 2 hours before, you now have 10, well, of course, your strategy to sort of address it is going to be very different. Because it's georeferenced, you can call fire on it, at that very point, which is, again, why georeferencing is so important. So really, it looks quite okay, compared to other products, but the fact that it's real-time and georeference makes a huge difference. So it gives you an instant situational awareness for the soldier, and you can superimpose, because it's georeferenced, not only the picture, but also a number of other sensors like chemical, biological, radiological sources, and you can geolocate them onto your map in real time. So that is very, very powerful. And we've sold quite a few of those already to Australia, New Zealand, and we have a lot of interest on the rest of the world, mainly through drone manufacturers, the guys that we typically work with at the present time. So talking about the SUAS in general terms, the product that we sell is the one that you have that is shown in there, 1.3 kilos, about 45 minutes endurance, hand launched. About $50 million worth of contracts to sort of do the supply, but there's another 35 to 40 million more coming in terms of long-term service and long-term support. We signed that contract about a month ago, and that has helped us re-rate the share. So that is a high margin sort of a product. What we do in terms of the armor is also high margins, whereas what we did in the past was, what led us to the $37 million that we got this year is the sale of drones that were mainly on low margin. So what we're doing is we are re-rating the margins that we do, which should help us get a much higher EBITDA and therefore even a higher price in terms of the share. So we have a very, very broad UAV network. We have an exclusive arrangement with Air Environment, which is a large American company that provides access to the global network. We're working with them for them to carry our products, our software product, but we also, of course, promote their own product, which have another number of potential markets here in Australia and New Zealand. So, key achievements over the past 12 months, very significant. We've done the transformational acquisition of HighCom. The XTclave manufacturing capability has progressed, and we expect to open that factory in Adelaide by the end of this calendar year. The maintenance facility for the SUAS has been installed, and the contract for the long-term contract for the next 5 to 7 years has been secured in the last month or so. We've done our first domestic and international Atlas, which is the name of the product for the drones in Australia and New Zealand. We have had a really positive feedback on proprietary products by major defense organizations. All the products I was mentioning have been tested in the US, plates as well as helmets, and enormous interest from the US administration for our products and the process that is behind, which is really very important for the next step, which is the military market in the US. At the present time, we are the technology sought after by most of the competitors in that particular area. So that makes us feel good. And a very strong FY19 financial performance. We are well funded for the future. We have a clear strategy, and we have the money to achieve it. So that's pretty good. The outlook, well, what we need to do in the next few months, we have to finalize the integration of HighCom, but my trip in the US last week, really showed that the cultures are very much aligned, and always a merger and acquisition has got an element of risk if you don't have people that are, the same way of thinking. We are very, very close to these guys in terms of the culture, so it's absolutely essential. We need to complete and commence the XTclave manufacturing in the facility before the end of this year. Achieve commercial quantity order of XTclave products, again, with the help of HighCom that should get us running. Commence the export of the XTclave manufactured product into the US, and achieve commercial orders of Atlas technology. So that's really the main benchmark that we need to achieve. Okay, that's it. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Hello. The factory that's opening up at the end of the year is approximately 20 million revenue a year, did you say?
In terms of capacity, yes, it's about 20 million revenue.
And how long will it take, do you think, before you'll be reaching that?
Depends how efficient we are in the US, I suppose. It depends how successful we are in terms of the commercialization aspect. We believe that to start with, the American market will take pretty much everything. And we need, best case, we'll get to that sort of capacity in about 6 months. You need time to ramp up. It's not going to come, all in one go. Would be foolish to think that would be the case. We have a number of other prospects that are waiting for the whole thing to happen. But in terms of getting that machine, filled up, in the next 12 months, it's going to be done. That's why we need to have probably a second one in the US, which will need to do the military market in the US. But we expect it to be, to be not only one or two. It's going to be several machines, and 20 million each. It's not too bad.
Pretty good. Just a related question: how are you protecting the competitive advantage you've got with the lighter product in the underpinned?
Well, the process is actually patented, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
We have a number of things that allows us to make it happen. We have know-how, so it's not that simple. Some other people, it's what we call an hydroclave. Concept is not new. Lots of people have tried to use that sort of technology in the past, not particularly for this particular application, but they haven't gone anywhere. It took us 10 years to get where we are. Then the machine is actually done in bits. We design the machine, and we sort of get bits done in different parts, but not with someone that is specializing in composites or in consolidation. So we sort of subcontract to people that don't understand, don't have the global picture, and therefore can't compete against us. And we're quite careful on what we say to whom as well. So keep our know-how, pretty well protected. But these, combination, it makes it extremely hard for people to sort of, compete with us. And there is recognition on the principle of what we do that there's no other way to sort of do it with the efficiency that is actually required, especially for parts that are, very intricate in terms of shape. So our suppliers of material, some of the MODs in the world are looking at us and say, well, hey, I mean, if you want to sort of get the results that you have, that's probably the only way you can get it. So that's on itself is a good protection.
Yes, thank you.
Great presentation. I just had a question just related to the top customers. So in terms of your revenues, there are a lot of sort of concentration in certain customer. Is there a risk there?
Look, and it's not going to stop. We work for the military and for the law enforcement. At the present time, it's mainly in Australia, and 95% of our turnover is with defence. The remaining 5% is probably with different police forces in the different states. The way it's going to go in the future is going to be similar, but probably more overseas. So we'll have diversification in terms of the people that we sell to. But the products we're talking about are very much, focused on an area we know very well. So it may be an expansion in terms of international, but the people that we sell to are exactly the same as what we service at the present time.
Great, thanks.
I would like to know about the drones, that business. I know one is like a drone shells, DRO. Is that a sort of your competitor, and what are advantages compared to them? And I know they already won the Department of Australian Defence. So is that why you're going to more focus on the US market?
No. I mean, they had a re-rating about 6 months ago, so I hope you were with them at the time. But it's not a competitor. It's actually in defense you have normally an action and a reaction. So their product is actually a way to sort of shoot down, if you like, a drone. We supply the drone; they supply what shoots the drone, right? So it's a very different product market. Reasonably similar, although they're probably more focused on the on airports or these kinds of people, because it's the main threat for in that kind of for the drones is mainly to sort of block airports or do these kinds of things. We're more on the military and defense side of things, but very complementary. So I know them quite well. We're talking. It's always good to talk to people that have the counter weapon, if you can say.
Because these areas so attractive to a lot of investors, and you and DRO, those two companies, was being highly discussed among our community for a while. So just a little bit, confusing. You probably got a similar business.
So it's not the same business; it's complementary business. And you're right. There's a lot of attention that is given by the market to a number of defense shares. You don't have that many of them in Australia. You have 4 or 5 possibly, and this is the success. Most of them have been pretty successful. If you look at EOS or Stolo or things like this, they benefit a lot from the policy of the government to try and get more local content and more IP developed in Australia. So they're pushing they're pushing the Australian companies to do research, and they buy the research. I mean, the products that are coming from that research, and they're helping that considerably. So the change that has happened really in the policy of the government is really helping us in Australia to sort of get there. Now, in terms of what you can do with that on the market is very interesting, because if you look at the way defense shares worldwide are reacting to market evolutions, it tends to be a counter-cyclical thing. So when you have problems on the market, defense is actually benefiting. If you have a good product, it benefits as well. So it's very much of a defensive, as well as if you have a good product, a way to sort of get very fast growth.